Good morning, everyone. I'm Divya, and this is Uplift, a show where we meet everyday women being everyday phenomenal. And today, we're doing something special. We're starting a chain of phenomenal women who are badass entrepreneurs. My first badass entrepreneur is my gorgeous friend, Kruti. Hi, Kruti.
Hello. Hello to all your viewers.
How are you doing today?
I am awesome. I am reporting live from the Kapadia family headquarters in Hoboken.
Ooh.
And it's super exciting to just spend quality time with family, hanging with my niece and nephew, who I love more than life. So it's great.
They're so cute.
They are cute.
Audrey and Aiden.
Yes.
Aiden initially popped in to say hi, but they're going to come back at some point, right?
Absolutely. Whenever you're ready, they can.
If they're ready now, I would love to say hi to them.
Absolutely. Well, here's one. We've got Aiden Kapadia. Audrey Kapadia, where are you?
Hello, Aiden Kapadia.
Say hi.
Hello.
Come on the other side.
Hi, Audrey.
Hi.
Divya.
Hi.
And how old are you guys?
8.
8.
Both of you are 8 because you're twins.
Yes.
Who's the older twin?
Audrey. I'm only 2 minutes older.
You can boss around Aiden.
Oh, she does.
She always does it. She says, Aiden, can you bring stuff for me?
And do you bring stuff for her?
I do.
Well, it was so nice to meet both of you.
Thank you for stopping in, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
I would love for you to just talk to us a little bit about what is this new venture that you just started yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a management consultant by trade. And, I know especially in Washington, we are very conscious of not identifying ourselves by our profession. But let's be real. Everybody identifies themselves by their profession.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just going to own it. I'm a management consultant who a couple of years ago became inspired to pursue a different path. And that is in coaching, leadership business coaching. And I'm currently enrolled in a wonderful program. And fingers crossed, I will complete the program end of December and be a fully certified coach, which is fantastic. But being my motivational self, that hasn't stopped me from getting clients, which I do have currently. And my coaching focuses on supporting mid to senior corporate professionals find their purposeful, passionate side hustle. So that's what I do.
Was there like an event or an experience that actually inspired you to do this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think in order to be able to answer that, I have to tell you a little bit about who I was as a kid growing up. People say that you kind of know yourself, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses very clearly as a kid. And over the course of time, through education, you lose that connection to your inner self and you become conditioned in different ways. And I think what happened for me over the course of the last, I'd say 5 years, is just an unsettling feeling. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. Mm-hmm. I was minding my own business, working on my management consulting, working with my clients, and it was a slow rumbling that just became louder and louder over the course of time that I needed to go back to what it is I wanted to do as a kid. And that's the best way to describe it. And that sort of vision that I had for myself, which was an entrepreneur, someone who valued freedom and expansion, someone who had her own business, someone who had wealth, someone who had influence, and someone who had just the ability to serve people. I mean, that's what I wanted as a kid. And I was haunted by a lot of that. And I think if I had to put my finger on what external events really triggered that unsettling feeling, it probably was a shift in projects that I had at work. I was very well settled on one gig in my company, and all of a sudden, I think the contract changed, and I had to readjust to a different contract, a different scope of work. And it was that shift, that sort of middle space in that shift, that really made me think about what it is I really wanted to do and what skill sets that I wanted to use that I hadn't been using before. And coupled with my vision as a kid, it was sort of like, I do this now or I never do it.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just stepped into that vision. I really thought about what it is that I just do on a daily basis without worrying about money. And that is reading books on personal development. If you look at my Kindle library, even before I started coaching, it was all on personal development books, empowerment, how to get promoted, how to be visible in the workplace, things like that. And it was just a light bulb went up, let me monetize on this. Let me get this going. And I explored a few coaching programs. It was scary, definitely, because it definitely required a time commitment. Explored a few coaching programs, settled in one and enrolled, and I'm on my way.
How long did it take you? And do you regret not taking actions earlier versus like starting now?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to set some context for your viewers, I'm currently working full time and launching my business part time, and so that's kind of where my landscape is right now. My ultimate goal is to transition full time into my business. The rumbling started 5 years ago. Three out of those 5 years, I explored a different set of options. It's like, oh, maybe I need to interview elsewhere. Maybe I need to see what other opportunities are out there. And as I did information interviews, that connection, that juice just wasn't there, because it was management consulting moving into another management consulting role. Sure. You know me as a very motivational speaker, so you'll probably be able to predict what my answer to this is going to be. But like, there are no regrets. There really aren't. It's easy to look back and say, I could have done this, I could have done that. Yeah. But life has a way, if you trust it, of guiding you and bringing things to you at the right time. It sounds really hokey, I know, but I think that anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur at some point in their life, or even start a side hustle, it's best if you adapt that philosophy, that there are no mistakes, that the right ideas come to you at the right time.
See, that is why you're my perfect first guest. So motivational.
Your project of raising awareness of like everyday women, it's so incredibly powerful. But it's especially powerful right now because we're coming off of a pandemic. People, you've got everyone's ear right now. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't have been successful if you had launched it pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why this idea is reaching fruition for you right now.
The moment is right when you know it's right. And at that point, you will know to take the right action. And that advice will apply to anybody. It doesn't have to be women only. But just having you here saying that, I think it inspires a lot of women. And I really appreciate you just sharing your wisdom with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What did the pandemic change for you that you're now positively applying to your life?
One of the key things that I've learned that I would share with your viewers who have an interest in developing a side hustle of any kind is to do a lot of foundational thinking before you start taking action. And that's something I didn't do. So for example, when I enrolled in the coaching program, I never sat down and looked at my life, looked at my priorities, looked at exactly how much free time was available to devote to coaching. I didn't put free time on the calendar to mark that, to make it accountable for me as to this is going to be the time that I invest in following up on my coaching studies. And I'll be honest. I mean, when I first started with the program, I was floundering. I was finding 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there to do reading, and was always left with this feeling of not having accomplished anything by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And my energy was always going into my full-time job, which makes sense. I mean, that I'm committed to my full-time job, but I wasn't leaving space, organized, structured space to focus on my coaching. But with the pandemic, that all changed. I had more time available to me, and I had that aha moment that I need to kind of hit the pause button and do some strategic planning. I really need to sit down and think through logistically, how am I going to slice and dice my time so that I can continue to build momentum in my business and honor the timelines that I set for myself. And once I did that, things profoundly changed and I was moving a lot quicker. And I can say I was not only successfully honoring my commitments to my full-time job, but now making quite a bit of progress with the business.
Time management, I think, is an issue for a lot of us. So I'm trying to be a little bit better. And it helps to hear that that's what actually really helped you put your priorities in perspective and you started to work on that. So that's great.
To something else I wanted to share with your viewers, and that is that, you know, and this goes back to what we're saying, that there are no mistakes, you know, and that when you're creating something from new, sometimes you just got to do it. You just got to get yourself out there and be comfortable with it being messy.
Last week, I was in Cleveland Park neighborhood in DC, and something you said like really resonated with me because it's a newer store called Femme Fatale, and it's owned by women, and they basically source all artists, especially like women artists, especially like people of color artists. I really wanted to. I saw a photograph of Stacey Abrams, and the writing, it was, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something about what you said, is that just get started. Like just get started. Not everything has to be planned like 1 year in advance.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
What do you know now that you didn't know 6 months ago that you're like, yep, this actually makes sense for my own career?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say, and this may or may not address your question, so you just let me know, but it just came to my mind. Never underestimate the importance of knowing your why behind anything that you do. And when we think about what the why is, it's really the feeling that we think that this project, this business idea, this initiative is going to give us. Really, really document your why. Put it in a succinct sentence, print it out, put it in front of you, because that why is going to carry you through the ups and downs of that journey, your professional business development journey.
Yeah.
And to give you an example, for me, my why in starting my own coaching profession is simply, I do not want to utilize the rest of I want to utilize the rest of my professional years doing something that I am incredibly passionate about. And that gives me freedom and expansion. That is my why. And so when I'm up against some really challenging times, I don't have time to follow up and finish this paper. That person who I did an initial consultation with didn't get back to me. I just look at my why and I carry on. And I have one of my most recent clients. We just finished our sessions, and his goal was to transition out of a very long IT career and find a job that really supported his passion for resort management, which is very different than IT. Well, he did land that job and he was super excited in Cabo. Who doesn't want to go there? But it turns out, as he was packing, as he was getting ready to go, through circumstances out of his control, they canceled his gig.
I see.
And it was disappointing for him, but he had that why to lean on. And that why was just that general reason for why he wanted to make that transition. And that why sort of gave him the juice to get through his discouragement and continue moving forward. And I haven't followed up with him, but I know for sure he's landed in probably even a better spot.
Yeah.
And that why will prevent him from going back to that comfortable IT space.
Mm-hmm.
If you go backwards, it's only going to be a matter of time where you're going to be unhappy again and end up right back where you were before.
Yeah. For someone who is experiencing what you are, what would you tell them to do?
Your question is assuming that folks have already started on their side hustle or
they're thinking about it.
Okay, because they're two different paths. So if you're just thinking about starting your side hustle and you're having those sort of haunting feelings like I was, or that restlessness, indulge in that. Really listen to what your intuition is saying to you. Start by writing down why exactly you're restless. What is it about your professional life currently that is not fulfilling for you? Mm-hmm. And that will help you determine, okay, is it just getting a new job? Is it finding a different role within the same company? Or is it actually the restlessness around using skill sets that I won't be able to use in my current professional world? And if that's the case, well, then voila, you have a full-blown career transition in front of you.
Yeah.
And you can take the steps necessary to determine whether you need additional schooling, which you likely will, and start looking at programs. Starting a business, starting a passion project is just not something that you can just dip your toe in the water with. You have to put your whole foot in the water. And what that means for you is whatever it means for you. It's different for a lot of people.
That's fantastic advice. And I hope that a lot of people are actually going to take that advice, because I know there's ideas everywhere and people just need to start exercising on them. And what you just said is exactly, I think, what we need, especially with women doing a lot more of that, and us supporting all of these women who want to do something like that.
Yeah, and also just along the way, keeping a journal, really being connected to what your dialogue is with yourself about the venture. What are you saying to yourself when you're trying new things in your venture? Because how you dialogue with yourself is going to determine how you continue to move forward. And so if you're berating yourself for making mistakes, well, guess what? You're likely going to just freeze and maybe not take any more action. And so being conscious of what you're telling yourself and understanding that that's just a story. That's not the truth. It's just how you've been conditioned to talk to yourself. That's sort of the first step to really getting away from that paralysis that can happen through a negative mindset.
Have you, as a woman of color, did you experience challenges that were because of that?
I'm going to say no to any external challenges. I have not encountered any racism. And in fact, the coaching community has really embraced my background. Mm-hmm. I think that there is such a wonderful space in the coaching community for more diversity. And it's incredibly welcome. I can relate to women. I can relate to women of culture. I can relate to petite women. I mean, there are many different ways in which I can relate to women. And the coaching community is open and embracing of all of that. The biggest challenge for me was moving past the immigrant mindset. My parents, God bless their souls, they were extremely adventurous and courageous when they came to this country in the 70s, didn't know the language, they built a life for themselves, but security was a huge value for them. And security meant working for others and my dad, I remember, had dreams of starting his own business, but never really felt confident enough to be able to do so and still provide for his family. And so being able to question the conditioning that I grew up with and challenge it honor the positive, but let go of what is not appropriate for me now, has been, I think, my greatest challenge. But I'm working through it little by little. It's scary. It's scary to get out there and be an entrepreneur, be a solopreneur. Your safety net is you. And especially for those of us who are marketing services, because there is no distinction between marketing who you are and your services.
Yeah, your service, that's true.
And so you're not marketing a tangible product, you're marketing yourself. You are your product.
Correct.
And that takes having really thick skin, which takes practice.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. This has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I loved meeting your little munchkins. And yeah, thank you so much. And everyone else, we'll see you later. Please like and subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Bye.